In this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to install the Pi Systems iHealth FHIR Orchestration utility. This is a tool that can be used to ingest HL7 version 2, CCDA, which is HL7 version 3, FHIR bundles, JSON files, Excel files, or CSV files, and X12, 837, 835 files. And it has an auto installer that Pi Systems give you, and I have put that in the iHealth directory. You can see on my screen they also provide a key that's in your installation Word document here. There is a bat file that I'll run here in a second, which will launch the CLI script, and you have the installation directions in the PDF file. You will need to have the appropriate administrator privileges both on your either virtual machine or PC, and you'll have to have the appropriate permissions in your Azure portal or Azure service in order to do the setup correctly. There's also some notes in there so that it will run a CLI script, so it's very easy. You just open a DOS window and you can prepare that. And then when you actually run the ingestion, it's a good idea to check and make sure you have the .NET 3.6 core or higher installed on your machine. So if you run into any issues, those are probably what it's about. Permissions is probably the most important thing to get right. So I'm just going to double click on the setup file here, and it is going to pop up a window, and it's just going to say, hey, security warning, do you want to run this? And I'm logged in and I have global admin privileges. So I'm just going to hit R for run, and then we can sit back and watch it do its magic. So the first thing it's going to do is prompt us for that installation key that's in the Word document. So I've already cut and pasted that. I'm going to put that key in the window, click OK. And the nice thing about this is you can install this in as many locations as you want, and it just goes to a resource group. So if you want to delete it, you just delete the resource group. If you want to install it fresh, you just create a new resource group, which is what I'm going to do. So now it's installing and updating the extension logic, and now it's starting the FHIR orchestration setup, and it's checking or creating the key vault. And it is saying you already have key vaults in your Azure tenant. Would you like to create a new key vault in a new FHIR orchestration product? I'm going to select yes. If you've already done the installation and you just want to reinstall on top of it, you can click no, and it will find that key vault for you. So then it pops up a window for my Azure subscription information, and I will click OK because that's a subscription. And now it's creating the key vault. The next thing it prompts me for is it says you can either select an existing resource group or create a new one. I am going to create a new one. Would you like to create a new resource group? That's recommended. I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it test 1. We'll just call it test 1. And so now it's going to do everything that I need to do and create the resource group. The next thing it prompts me for is which Azure I want to install it in. And I want to install this in US West. Or West 2, I think. You have to make sure that the Azure location has all the services that you need. I'm going to pick US West 3 because I know that works, and I'm going to click OK. No big deal if you pick the wrong one or it doesn't work right. You can always just delete that resource group in Azure, and I'll show you how to do that when we're done, and then you can just reinstall. And if you did pick the wrong Azure, it will tell you that you picked the wrong Azure, because this is going to install a number of Azure services, including the Azure Health Data Service, the Microsoft FHIR service. So it's now creating the key vault. And this whole installation process, it'll take maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So plan for that and make sure you're monitoring it so you can answer the questions. So now it's updating the key vault. So now you can see confirmation of the installation ID, the Azure subscription it's using, the resource group name that it's created, the Azure location, and now it's checking the FHIR service. And so again, it prompts me, you already have a FHIR service. You can either select existing or create a new one. Select existing service. I'm going to say no, so that it will create a new one. And again, if you're reinstalling or doing this, or you had an issue with it for whatever reason, you can just pick yes if it's already created that FHIR service, or you want to use an existing FHIR service that you may have installed prior to this installation. So now it's deploying the Healthcare APIs workspace in Azure, and it's telling us this may take several minutes to complete. This is probably the longest part of the setup process. And I just got the notification that says you already have a storage account. Select an existing account. I'm going to say no to create a new storage account, because again, I'm just creating this all from scratch. Now it's creating the iHealth FHIR ingest function application. Now it's downloading the function application package from the DevOps server at Pi Systems. Now it's updated key vaults. Now it's creating the Event Grid topic subscription. And now that is telling us that it has been successfully deployed. And now it's creating the app service plan. Okay, so back to the install. It's now prompting me, would you like to change the S1 app service plan? I'm going to say no. And now it's creating the FHIR activity app service. So now it's prompting me to create my FHIR organization. And I'm just going to call this test 1. And they're in the US. So this is just prompting us for the FHIR organization. Okay, now it's telling us that test 1 FHIR organization has been created successfully. And now the last step is it is asking to install the FHIRLoader onto my PC. So I can go in here to my local disk and I'll say make new folder and I'll call it test 1. Click OK. And it's asking, please enter the scheduled task repetition interval in minutes. So this is how many minutes it will check the input directories. So this is saying it'll check every 15 minutes. I can make that like every 5 minutes, or I can make that every 1 minute. And so that's going to set up an automation task so that whatever HL7 data goes into the input folders that it's creating, it's going to repeat those intervals every 1 minute to check that data. Now it's downloading the zip file from the DevOps server, and it will uncompress and expand that into the location that I specified in test 1 and set up all the folders and bat files and executables. And you can also use the bat files to run the service manually that I've demonstrated in previous videos, and I'll put the links down below. And again, you can do this in a virtual machine. So now it's finished. The installation, that wasn't too bad, see? Let's see here, or I go to my Azure and I click on, what do I want to look at? I want to look at my resource groups. I can see that I've got my test resource group, and then I can see all the services that it deployed. So extremely powerful, takes, maybe 20-30 minutes. Again, if there's any issues with it, you just close it and you can rerun it, and it will check everything. So it will make sure if it's something that's already been created, it won't recreate it. It'll prompt you to reuse it. So that's really handy. And if I want to get rid of this, all I got to do is hit this delete resource group and I can start over from scratch. So super easy, and makes installing FHIR and configuring all this in Azure so that you can ingest data so much easier. And definitely check this out and check out the other demos that we've got actually showing the data ingestion once you've set up the service. Thanks for watching.